Okay, what is up, traders? What's up, tycoons? Super excited for today's video. Going to go over Sting, okay, ticker symbol STNG. This is Scorpio tankers. Taking a look at the daily chart, and this stock, you guys, has been so impressive, right? This is 2022 over here. This is the beginning of 2022. Look at this massive rally that it's had. You cannot say that it's been a bear market for Sting, okay, for Scorpio tankers. If you take a look from the beginning of 2022, or from the lows of January 2022 up to the highs of this year, or to, I'm sorry, to the highs of December 2022, this thing ran up over 429%. Really amazing. Now, we have had some type of a pullback here recently, and that's fine. That's expected. We're actually going to break down the major retracement levels. Okay. That's going to be these three levels right here. We're going to go over, some things to be cautious of right down here. We do have a bearish gap. And then also we'll take a look at the MACD as well as the relative strength index to go over some potential signs and indicators of some of the future price action and give you guys a better understanding of some of the different tools that you can use in your journey. I like to say trading is like going to battle. It's like going to war. You need to have the proper weapons at your disposal, and you need to know how to use those weapons so that way you can increase your odds of success. Now, this is a viewer request. Again, I do these viewer requests every week. If you want to see your stock, your crypto in the next video, all you got to do is comment down below. So we're going to start off here with the major retracement levels using the Fibonacci tool, right? That's this tool right over here. Now, there's three specific ones you want to look at, right? We have the 38.2, the 50%, and the 61.8. What this does is this helps establish trend continuation and helps spot trend reversals. So nothing moves in a straight line up, nothing moves in a straight line down. You get a move up, retracement, continuation higher, or a move down, retracement, continuation lower. All right, that would be your trend continuation. Now you can spot reversals when you move up, retrace, consolidate a little, all right, and then you break through those retracement levels. That's how you can spot a potential reversal. Now, throughout the entire year of 2022, look at what we've done each time. We've moved up, we came down, retraced to the 38.2, we move up, retrace to the 50%, move up, retrace to the 50%, move up. Now we retraced here, but pay close attention how this is just a wick, okay? The body of the candle is still closing and holding our 61.8% retracement level, right? And then what do? We just keep retracing, continuing higher, retracing, continuing higher, retracing, continuing higher. Over here, we're holding the 38.2. So if you see, we have had a sharp pullback here as of recent, right? From its December highs, okay, down to the lows. That was a drop of about 23%. We're currently sitting at about 13% down from the highs. Now, look at the level that it's battling right now as resistance, our 38.2% retracement level. Just as previously in the past where we wicked down below with a sharp drop, okay, we wicked down multiple times, but we held our 61.8% retracement level very well multiple times, right? We came down, we wicked below it 3 days, but all 3 days closed above that level or at that level, and we've started to push higher. So we're going to go over a couple scenarios to the upside and to the downside, and really just break down what it is that we're looking at. Okay, so specifically the three levels that we need to pay attention to is 50.24. All right, that's currently our major resistance that we're battling right now. All right, 47.92, major level of support we need to hold, and 45.60, another major level of support we need to hold. If we do break through these levels as we've started consolidating, all right, there is a chance we could spot a reversal and come down and potentially test some of our previous lows right around 40, or potentially the bearish gap down we have to fill at 35.2. Now, the reason that I have this charted up is because gaps, they tend to fill about 90% of the time historically. The big question is when, right? So when something is gapping up, all right, and that's what we have here is we have a gap in between this candlestick and this candlestick. We gapped up. That's a good sign of strength and momentum, right? And we've really continued that strength and momentum. So we're not showing any signs of wanting to fill this gap, right? But at some point in the future, there is a chance that this gap could fill. Right now, it could be weeks from now, it could be months from now, or it could be many years into the future, in perhaps like the next bad situation that would, really hurt this stock. So you know, I'm not too worried about it right now as we're holding our major retracement levels. There is the possibility that we could be setting up an inverse head and shoulders. Now, all we have right now is a left shoulder and a head. Okay, but if we continue to pull back some more and we pull back around our 47.92 support level, okay, we could end up forming an inverse head and shoulders, right? And so that would look like this, okay? And that could potentially take us back up to our previous highs. So that's going to be a really important, you know, pattern to look for, and an important structure that hasn't formed yet, but has the possibility of forming. For now, it just looks like healthy pullback for a continuation of the trend. Okay. But you can also, as I mentioned, use the MACD, okay, and also the relative strength index to help give you some clues and some possible indications to some of the future price activity. So we're going to zoom in a little bit and really just break that down for you guys. So now that we've zoomed in a little bit, all right, what we're going to do is focus on that relative strength index and the MACD. Okay. So you can use it to spot entries and exits. All right. We'll take a look. And if you take a look here, this is going to be our MACD. So this blue line, when it crosses below the orange line, that would be considered an exit signal and a sign that you could see some bearish activity in the future. And if you take a look, we get our exit signal right over here. And ultimately, we do end up getting a nice pullback and testing our major retracement levels. Now, an entry signal is going to be when this blue line crosses above. So when it crosses above the orange line, that could be an indicator we see some bullish activity, right? That crossover happens right over here. And as you see, we push higher and ultimately really just continue this upwards trend. Same thing happens over here. We get the blue line cross back above. Now notice how it's always after we're pulling back and testing our retracement levels, and then we start a rally to the upside. Over here, we get a short move to the upside, all right, after a MACD buy signal, and then we get a MACD sell signal, okay? So we get the MACD sell signal right about here, okay, right over and through here, and what do you know? We get that sharp pullback. We got it to our major retracement levels, and we've been holding those levels very nicely, and we just recently got a MACD entry signal where this blue line crossed above. Now, that happened right about here, okay? And as you can see, we've pushed up a little bit, but you know, there is a possibility we could continue to pull back. What we need to be cautious of is this MACD signal coming back down below this orange line. All right, if that happens, that could be another exit signal, and we really could just see the MACD chopping and moving sideways like this. And whenever you see it doing that, it tends to continue the trend, right? So if you look over here, it's a little choppy, and it's really just going up and down, up and down. And look at what we did. We chopped up and down, but ultimately continued in the same direction. So if we're chopping up and down on the MACD right here, most likely we're going to continue chopping up and down, but in a downwards direction. Okay. So ultimately we want to see this thing curl up as it's done. We got our entry signal, and we want to see it really continue back upwards and get above 0 on the MACD. Okay. That's going to be a good sign. Now, there was a really good sign of some future bullish activity besides the major retracement levels. We had something known as bullish divergence. So if you take a look here, right, we have a low on our chart, and then we have a lower low on the chart right here as well. So clearly this stock is in a downtrend, right? No secret about it, making lower lows in a downtrend. But if you look at your relative strength index, what we see is we actually made a low, okay, and then we made a higher low right afterwards. So at the same points where the stock itself is making a low and a lower low, we're seeing a low and a higher low right here. This would be known as bullish divergence, and it's an indicator you may see some bullish activity. So what happens here is we actually got two signals, really about 3 signals total, that we'll go over that you guys can learn to use and spot and make some potential trades. Right now, of course, none of this video is financial advice, really just more informational and breaking down some of the different strategies you can use. Right, so first and most easiest to spot is we're at our major retracement level here, the 61.8. We've continued to bounce off of our retracement levels for the past year. The trend is your friend until the trend is broken. So, you know, that's a first signal you could have had to take a position here. Second, number 2, we see that we get bullish divergence, right? We're making those lower lows. We make a higher low on the relative strength index here. All right. And then number 3 is going to be shortly afterwards. So we get the bullish divergence right here. And then very shortly afterwards, we get a MACD entry signal and really confirm that bullishness and start moving in an upwards direction there. So in total, there was about 3 signs of a possible entry here when we were at 45.60. We're coming up and we're at 50.15 right now, really battling that overhead 50.24 resistance level right now. Remember, prior support is future resistance. So, you know, it was support. We broke through this support level and it's been a resistance. Keep an eye out on the possible inverse head and shoulders. In case we do pull back, right, we may end up getting something like this. Okay, and that is a possibility. No guarantees, but you want to just pre-plan some of the possible structures, and you would be taking a look to ultimately break this trend line here as well, right? If we can break this trend line, then that's going to be a good sign potentially that we could move back up to some of our previous highs here, right around 58, 57.71. So those are going to be the main levels that I'm watching out for. We're going to get rid of some of these drawings on the chart real quick. And I'm actually going to give you guys some price targets to the all-time high. All right. Also using the fib tool, what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to put our breakout level, right, to make new all-time highs. Or I'm not familiar with this stock enough to know if it's actually all-time highs. But what we're going to do is break out some of our, 52-week highs, make new 52-week highs. And we're going to put our breakout level here in blue. Okay. And we're going to put some bullish price targets to the upside here in green. All right. And, we're going to have a breakout level and 2 bullish price targets to the upside. I'll go over those real quick. So 57.71 is roughly going to be our breakout level. Okay. And there's really only one way that we're going to really get to these price levels, in my opinion. And it's going to be actually breaking the bearish divergence trend line. So we established how making lower lows but higher lows on the RSI is a term known as bullish divergence. Bearish divergence is actually going to be the exact opposite, where we have a high and we're making lower highs here on the relative strength index, losing relative strength as the price of this stock is going up, right? So bearish divergence is high, higher high. Whoops, that's a really ugly H, with a high and then a lower high. So that's going to be bearish divergence. Now, it hasn't caused very huge crashes or any big moves to the downside. But if you take a look, right, we have our initial high over here at this period. We come up, we make a new high right over here, and we get a small pullback, right? And then what do? We make a new high again over here, and then we get a small pullback. And we've really been respecting this bearish divergence trend line multiple times. If you take a look, we tested it again right over here, and then we got a pullback. So just like we had 2 signals or multiple signals of bullish activity, where we had the MACD entry signal, we had bullish divergence in our major support level right here. Over here, what we did was, we had bearish divergence where we had, the higher highs with a lower high on the relative strength index. And then we got that MACD sell signal. So, these strategies work both to the upside and to the downside and really just help you understand some of the price action. So that way things don't really surprise you as much, right? When you see some bearish divergence and you see a MACD sell signal, you're going to be a little bit less surprised when you see a pullback versus just, maybe buying blindly over here, not knowing that there's a bearish divergence and not knowing that there was a MACD entry exit signal. Okay. So what we can do, right, and really to get to these price targets that I'll give you guys here in a second, is if the RSI is able to actually break out past this trend line. Remember, the more times you test a level, the weaker it gets. So we've tested it over here, over here, over here. We've tested this level like 4 or 5 times, this trend line here. There is a possibility we come up and reject it again, and most likely that would end up in a rejection or a double top somewhere up here near the top, near our breakout level. Okay, but if we're able to break out past this bearish divergence, I do think we have a chance of breaking our breakout level of 57.71 and coming up here and hitting 61.32 and also 65.90. Okay, now there's a lot of work for us to get there. I'm definitely not saying buy this stock right now and you're going to be able to sell it at $65.90, but we're just going over some of the major support levels to the downside and giving us some ourselves, some bullish price targets to the upside, as well as some major indicators and tools that we can use to really help navigate some of the price action. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You learned something new. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, I do these viewer requests every week, so all you have to do is comment down below and I'll make a video on your stock, your crypto, whatever it is, as soon as I can.